For more advanced players and professionals, it's so important to frequently return to the basics, especially during the warm-ups. Our fundamentals are what kind of sets the foundation on top of which everything we do is built. So in this video, I'm going to give you sort of a couple sample warm-up routines that you might consider if you're an advanced player or if you're a busy professional. And the idea is, for this kind of routine, there are no scales involved. So these are some things you can do either before scales or in conjunction with them. I'll actually be posting a bunch more of these on my Patreon page, where I show how I actually practice some of these things. You can check out the community by clicking the link in the description below, and your support means a great deal to me, and it will help for me to make better content to serve you better. For this kind of routine, you may decide not to do all of these in one session, and actually I strongly recommend you just pick just a few things. Depending on how much energy you have and can afford, please do adjust your session accordingly. And in fact, I strongly recommend just pick 3 or 4 of these things for a specific day, especially if you have very little time, or if you need to your best energy to either practice your repertoire, or if you have a concert that evening, or long rehearsals, if you have a double rehearsal, especially for that kind of situation. There are so many ways we can warm up, right? Some folks like to begin with their left hand and then do the bow. I personally like to start with long tones and go from there, because I know I always need a little extra time on the bow. So you can practice in different contact points on any, like pick a string. So start with some long tones. You can do this with a metronome, near the fingerboard, or near the bridge, very slow, actually like on the G string, very slow bows. So like that near the bridge, you can spend some time in the lower half. And paying attention to what parts of the arm are working and how much, and adjusting things, adjusting how much the fingers are working or not working, how much the arm is pronated or supinated. I talk a lot about that in my video specifically for pronation and supination. At the tip, what happens at the tip? Same idea, experimenting with different things. Also, not just open strings. This is good to do on random notes on the instrument, because different string lengths, different string thicknesses, adjust these variables very slightly. A couple minutes a day already is going to help to connect your fingers with the arm and also with the camber of the bow, just to kind of feel how it's all working together. What else? Portato. I love practicing portato. More on how to practice this, I'll be speaking on my Patreon page, and like different variations of this you can do. Colle in different parts of the bow. I'm just showing you this all really quickly, so this video doesn't take like an hour. Next, I'm going to the left hand. I strongly recommend to do some form of trill exercises, especially if you need to work up your endurance. Let's say you're preparing a large program and need to kind of work your way up to it, especially if it's not something that you do constantly. If you're not someone who let's say you have a recital and you're not somebody who is used to having a recital every single week. I mean, I definitely don't. Trill exercises, great warm-up. You can do something from Simon Fisher's exercises, or you could do a etude by don't, or one of many Kreutzer trill etudes, and you don't need to do the entire thing. Just pick a couple lines and really work on them, really pay attention. So just to all you Simon Fisher's example, I do rhythms a lot with the trill exercises. Long, short, long, short, long. And then opposite. So the idea is to pay attention to the energy of the lifts and the energy of the dropping of the fingers, and also do this with every finger combination: 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 3. That's an important one for me personally, especially if there's a whole step between these two. That's actually brings the weight distribution here more towards the third finger, which I talk about a lot in many of my videos on the left hand. Definitely include the pinky. Never leave it out. Half step and whole step. 2, 4, 1, 4, and so on. You can make up your own rhythms and do it at different tempo. You can use a metronome. You can make all sorts of fun ways to do it, so it's not exactly the same every time, so it doesn't get insanely boring. Next one. Again, also for me particularly, that sometimes I neglect and I really should do it a little more frequently, and that is practicing extensions. Extensions can be actually extremely helpful, even if they're not in your repertoire. Actually, as someone who plays a lot of orchestral repertoire, sometimes I'll run into some awkward orchestral passages where it's actually really beneficial to get into one of those extension left hand positions to get from one part of the phrase to another, to kind of connect things more smoothly. And this is a good example of this is Brahms symphonies. It happens everywhere. So I'm just making this up. It's not exactly what's written in one of these books. I'm sort of making this up here as I go. So I'm putting my first finger on the note E and second finger on the note C. You can make up your own exercises, by the way. And I'm gonna extend and then I'm gonna do the same thing with pinky. So when I do a lot of extensions, I make sure that my contact with the instrument, I talked about it in a couple of my videos, one about fingered octaves, a recent video I made, the importance of releasing the contact with the instrument here to create more space this way. But also do some extensions, the healthier kind, going downward. Actually, you can do this without the bow. Let me put the bow down. You can do extensions like this, where you kind of go like this, and then the second finger, and then first finger. You can also do one where you're playing a third, and you get the fingers to go this way, and then that way, and then simultaneously this way. And then you can repeat the same with 2 and 4. Again, I'm just making these up on the fly here. Next thing that's really important to do is in the warm-up, in any warm-up, I think, intonation and finger independence. So, you know, checking those ringtones. Perfect fourths, first finger and open string. You know, very basic stuff. Perfect fourths. Third finger, pinkies. So you can play like a G major scale and check all of those along the way, the perfect fourths, the octaves, unisons. So for finger independence, you can practice something like Dunis from the Daily Dozen, one of his actually one of these exercises that I think I have a very old video called Exercises for Left Hand Finger Independence. It goes quite deep into all of these and some similar versions of this. Simon Fisher has a version like this. I think Carl Flesch had something sort of similar like that. Another finger independence exercise you can do is, so right now was the vertical movement. You can also include the horizontal movement. And actually, if you want to go really crazy, Dunas has a huge collection that gets into downright nearly impossible gymnastics here. Also, for intonation, Kurguyev, I would recommend the Kurguyev double stop exercises, or just to practice double stops. Thirds are excellent for framing the left hand. Actually, even better, perfect fourths. And then going into thirds after that. Or even alternating perfect fourths and thirds. Because that really frames the hand and gets you listening for those intervals. Next thing you can warm up with, this is a lot of stuff, so of course you don't have to do all of these in one day. I mean, I certainly don't have time for that, but you can prioritize what you do when and why. Frequently neglected, dynamics and tone color. I think it's frequently neglected because it can feel so artificial to do it in a warm-up, because we do dynamics, tone colors for music's sake, right, when we play our repertoire. But sometimes the repertoire can feel like it has some baggage. When we practice, it can cause a lot of frustration because we haven't developed the tools to, say, control the bow variables. And this is something I'll be working on for the rest of my life, I think. Hopefully we all are. Changing the contact point. Or staying on one contact point and just practicing crescendos and decrescendo on one bow or multiple times in one bow. Actually, Rode has a lot of really good dynamic exercises for open strings, if you want to keep it very simple. But the one I really like to do actually is Kreutzer First Etude in the standard edition, the standard numerical order. That way you can include phrasing and bow distribution, gets a little bit more into matching a little bit more to how you would apply it in music. Maza's etudes, you can use one of those as well. You can add your own dynamics to it. Again, no need to practice the entire etude. You can just pick a couple phrases, and could be plenty. It could give you a lot already. Next one, vibrato. I personally need to do those frequently. I did make some vibrato videos in the past. It's been a while, but ever since then I did change a couple of things on how I practice it. I will be making a new separate video on vibrato, similar to Simon Fisher's. I do kind of the reverse of what he does in his book Warming Up. I kind of do the reverse. I focus on the backward motion a little more than the forward motion that he talks about. I noticed for me that was working just much better, and also for many of my students it's working a lot better because there's a little bit more of a release. Anyway, I'll talk about this in another video. Something I don't do enough, and I think I should, and I think something many people don't do enough, practicing in high positions. And I don't mean like the 4-octave scales, I mean actually just staying up there. And like, let's say I'm gonna play like a 1-octave D major scale up here. So up here, especially on the A string, there's a lot less room for error when it comes to contact point. And also just all the bow variables actually, there's just so much less room for error here. It's every small change can greatly alter the sound. Also, I guess differently on different instruments. So it's good to like pick a note and kind of sit on it. And half steps up here. So to get from C sharp to D up here, if I'm not doing 3-3, if I want to actually put on my pinky, guess what? The rest of my hand has to kind of go down to make room for it. So playing half steps up here, how it feels different. But especially for the bow, how the camber has to work, what bow speed, what's the slowest bow speed your instrument can tolerate, how much bow arm weight, probably probably full hair, unless you're doing, well, I don't know. If you're doing flautando, then maybe you can kind of. That's probably the lowest contact point I can go up here. Anything closer to the fingerboard, it's just very, very difficult to get something going. So you see the string length is extremely short. So it's good to just once in a while, just stay up there for a bit. You can, even if you want to really challenge yourself and practice a little portato up there, it's a big challenge, but sometimes, you know, it can really make the rest of your life a little easier later on. Realistically, I'm not going to do all of these in one day. I might spend a few days or even a whole week doing something very similar. Let's say long tones, trills, vibrato, and double stops or finger independence exercises. That's just like a sample. And then another week I might do a whole lot of just spending a lot of time in the lower half of the bow and something else like dynamics. What else? Oh, I didn't include string crossings. Maybe I should have included that. It depends on what you're working on also, and kind of like your own strengths and weaknesses as you go along. So it's good to change things up, but not too crazy, because you want to change things up but still sort of have some form of almost like a routine, but be flexible with it if you need to. If I feel in shape, like let's say one day I feel quite in shape and I feel pretty loose even before I start playing, I might start out with arpeggios, you know. But another day, if I'm feeling very stiff and or it's a cold day and I feel like I need extra time, I'll take things slow, spend a lot of time on open strings, just listening to intervals, double stops, just listening for resonance, the most basic things. And that's totally okay. And actually it's great. It can actually, a little bit goes a long way. It really does. This is very, very customizable. I cannot tell you exactly what to do because for every person it's gonna be different. Even for me, it's different from week to week, depending on what I'm doing. Again, if you want to see samples of how I would warm up with things like this, I will be posting a lot of this kind of content on my Patreon page. And if you want feedback on your own playing, there are options for that as well, should you choose to go that route. And also, if this video was helpful for you, if you got any value out of this video, please give me a quick thumbs up down below, share this with a friend or a colleague, subscribe to this channel for more content on violin practice. Let me know in the comment section what you are working on right now, and I do my best to respond to everybody. I do read all of your comments. Thank you so much for all of your support. I'll see you in the next video. Happy practicing.